Hi everyone, Alan here with my PIDP 3351 Module 1 assignment, looking at growth mindset. For this assignment I have chosen to make a PowerPoint that I'll present to my nursing students. I start with a new group in January. I teach them for January through April, and then I teach them again September through December. So it's a cohort program. So what I try to do is front load some of my courses with my expectations, how I teach, things such as that, so that we can enjoy sort of an 8-month, even though it's 2 courses, I think about it as being 8 months. So really sort of that forward thinking mindset that comes from growth mindset. So my PowerPoint has some basic introduction, some what I hope will catch students' attention. I also, as part of my introduction, love this picture, that didactic kind of instructor grinding up information and pushing it into students' heads. That's not at all how I teach, so I love to have a conversation about this with my students, particularly early on, so they know what to expect. I also spend a fair bit of time thinking about Bloom's taxonomy. My students come to me in a place of remembering and basic understanding. We're going to spend a lot of time in my classes applying and analyzing, doing some evaluation, and then sort of later on doing some really creative stuff that I hope is authentic and meaningful to my students. Because growth mindset is possibly new, they need a sort of a definition background of what I'm talking about. I love the image here of that gardener down there growing their garden. Couldn't be more apropos than that is what I'm looking for of my students. Really talking about growth mindset, but comparing it to many of my students being in a fixed mindset. They're not going to understand that. So I have a couple slides here that talk specifically about growth mindset and or fixed mindset to help sort of illuminate what the differences are. I love this slide, that black background, really powerful. Hope draws them in, and I really want them to get that effort will lead to success. Many of my students, being in fixed mindsets, are somewhat stuck. They think they either get it or they don't. They don't necessarily appreciate that act of learning that needs to take place to understand some of the concepts that I teach. I teach some of the most significant health sciences program or courses in our nursing program, so it's hard content. I understand that. I also know that it's not cut and dried, and that you're not just going to get it on one day. You might end up getting it on, the end of the next semester, or you might understand this better in the next, like at the end of the semester. So it's definitely a forward-thinking philosophy for me. I love tables. They really help. So this one, including growth mindset and fixed mindset, I will draw my students into the criticism. Particularly, many of my students are super focused on grades. So if I can start getting them to think about feed forward, taking a constructive criticism and learning from it versus taking it personally. My students are telling me, Alan, you're here and you're watching and you're evaluating. And I'm like, no, I'm here, I'm watching, and I'm assessing. That's very much a nursing mindset. I'm not here to evaluate, I'm here to assess. I'm here to help you build and going forward. So this whole growth mindset fits so beautifully with what and how I try to teach. I love, love, love COVA. Choice, ownership, voice, and authentic learning. Couldn't summarize what my goals as an instructor are. I'm not prescriptive. I have a couple slides here that talk about what to expect from me from assignments. I'm not prescriptive in my assignments. They're very broad. They're very blank canvas. Go about teaching and learning in things that you're interested in versus me as an instructor just simply telling students, here's your topic, go and write a 6-page paper about it. I invite my students to come up with their own topics, whether that be from hopefully maybe personal experience as a nursing student, or something they've read in the media, or something they've got in the textbook that they want to know more about. I want them to make choice, and this couldn't be more meaningful. This whole COVA image is just, we will spend some time here summarizing this. I want students to know that I'm a little bit different. My favorite question is why. I teach from that perspective. I have much more of a conversational type classroom where we engage in conversation, we work in case studies. I want students to bring their own personal learning and questions to my class, not just me up there didactically telling them what they need to know. I talk a little bit about evaluation, particularly as it blends to growth mindset. I have lots of peer evaluation. So it's a terrific strategy to encourage a growth mindset. I have lots of self-evaluation, which again, I try to get my students to highlight what did they learn from this experience or what would they do differently going forward so that they're learning from themselves and not just feedback from myself. I also, of course, have instructor evaluation, but I really think about it as being feed forward. As much as I might be evaluating a test or an assignment, it's really with the intention that it's forward-looking and building for their future. A little bit more about how I lecture, which will be new to some of my students for sure. Just a recap of learner's mindset, so they have a better definition. They can start to build an image of what my expectations are. And then in summary, growth mindset, how it fits with health professionals, how it fits for me as I think about 2 courses over essentially a year. And even I forget this. Enjoy the ride. You're going to get more out of it. I think if students can let go of grades or let go of evaluation or let go of constructive criticism and just be in class engaging with content, they're actually going to get considerably more. Last, of course, are my reference page. Thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I think my students are going to enjoy me knowing more about this topic and how to engage them and really explain to them that growth mindset, that learner's mindset, and being able to appreciate as nurses that their knowledge base is not static, that we're definitely lifelong learners. I think this will go a long way in helping them. Thanks very much.